What is going on? Man, the Bills have been getting more active in free agency, and we want to talk about two of the newest additions to the Bills. We're going to label them speed with the signings of incoming receivers Deonte Harty coming from the New Orleans Saints and receiver Trent Sherfield coming back from the rival Miami Dolphins. James, these guys add values different ways. It's noticed a couple of things that you've been talking about the last couple of years, just not on the offensive side of the ball, but the defensive side of the ball as well, and the team in general of adding guys who are just speed, fast. You've been saying a proponent that both of these sides of the ball need to get faster. I think the Bills did that. Obviously, Hardy's on a mostly an incentive-based contract over 2 years. They released Isaiah McKenzie
Was overdue.
with the well overdue it. And, we've been saying it since middle of last year. They released Isaiah McKenzie to bring him in. I think it was apparent when they signed Hardy that was going to be McKenzie's spot. And Sherfield came kind of out of left field, if you want to call it that. And it seems that he'll be taking that Jake Kumaro role. But I want to talk about both of these guys a little bit in this segment. Deonte Harty, we'll talk about him first. What is he bringing to the Buffalo Bills at this point in time?
He's missing, or he's bringing an element to this office that we've been missing for years. Where a guy that has boogie, what I call boogie, where you give him the ball, he's gonna shake somebody, he's gonna make them miss. We didn't really have, and we excluding Stephon Diggs from this, right? Because you can't have him doing everything, right? So guys that can just make people miss, by far, outside of Diggs, Singletary was the best. He made people miss. He got, not even the, talk about, even though he's left now, he was very underrated by Bills Mafia. He's a baller. But we, in our receiving room, we didn't have that dude. That's why I was campaigning for us to keep Tavon Austin, because we didn't have that guy where you drop it off and he's just going to make people miss. People mistake quickness for speed, right? And being elusive to being fast, right? Isaiah McKenzie was he's a fast guy, but he wasn't stopping on the dime, making people miss, shaking people. He wasn't that. You give him the ball, he just goes straight fast again, right? So that was his strength. That was cool. I'm not going to knock him for something he don't do. He's not a guy where you throw him a bubble screen, he makes people miss. These two guys right here, you throw Hardy a bubble screen, he may be gone. He's electrifying. And that's something our offense has been missing for a very, very, very long time. We just haven't had it. So with these two guys alone, you got faster at the gunner position with Sherfield. You're faster at the gunner position right off top.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're bringing that speed element to, if one of the receivers go down and somebody need a breather, he could come in. He could provide you quality snaps. Hardy is going to be that guy where they thought Isaiah McKenzie was, but he's better, in my opinion. Even when they signed McKenzie, you remember I was the one saying he's not a bad player. He's just move on.
Number 4.
So yeah, and now you have two guys that can return.
Yeah.
And then you made the receiver room faster and better. The speed isn't everything, but he's a football player. You made it faster and better, and the special teams overall just improved. So I'm excited about it. I think it's two very underrated signings.
Yeah, I mean, in Hardy, I know a lot of people, the first thing people do is they go to Pro Reference Sports and they look up the guy's stats and they make that as a determination if this guy is good or not. And you really can't do that, especially Hardy coming from a Saints team that you played 3 quarterbacks last year.
Yep.
You had a veteran Andy Dalton. You had a tight end by trade and quarterback playing Taysom Hill. You also had Jameis Winston taking some snaps towards the end of the year. So it's a guy who battled injury. He only played 4 games last year, pretty much 3 games, and he was out for most of the season with injuries. Boy, I think this is a guy that adds a tremendous value, as you said, home run hitters.
Yep.
It became apparent that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott was going to start taking this offense in a different fashion last year with the O.J. Howard signing. Obviously, it didn't work out, but bringing Quentin Morrison, bringing James Cook in specifically. You knew that at that point in time that maybe they started recognizing the fact that, hey, we're not fast enough.
Yeah.
You know, and we went against teams like Kansas City for the last couple of years. We were trying to catch. They had Tyreek Hill and McCole Hartman, that just big play guys. And I think that we saw that this is what this offense has been missing. And like I said, no, are we saying that Deonte Harty is going to come in here and catch 80 balls for 1,000 yards and take a bunch of plays for 50, 60 yards? No. We're looking for the timely plays. We're looking for those plays that, hey, there were certain games that Isaiah McKenzie had here in Buffalo that he was extremely solid. But then there was also a lot of times that he completely disappeared.
Yeah.
And I think that we're looking for more consistency. And also, the other thing about Deonte Harty, we talk about special teams value, right? And we're going to talk about Sherfield as well. But we know how much Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane values special teams. Okay? It's been apparent over the years with guys like Lorenzo Alexander getting extensions. I mean, Lorenzo played with defense as well, but him getting extensions. Tyler Matakevich being brought in, extended, getting an extension. Saran Neal, Tywan Jones over the last couple of years. So these are two guys that you add. Deonte Harty is a former Pro Bowl returner. Okay? Kick returns, punt returns. If you want to put Naeem Hines more into the offensive flow and less special teams, you have a guy. And like you said, you've been saying for the last 2 years, it's not about just putting somebody back there. It's about being a natural returner. It was your key words that you've always said.
Yep.
And now you don't have just one natural returner. Now we have two. Yeah. And just think about it. You go back a year, not this season, but the year before, you had Micah Hyde returning. You had Isaiah McKenzie dropping balls. You had Marquez Stevenson, who was less than admirable at returning the ball and actually kind of scary. Yeah. Right? We, like you said before, you didn't know when we're going to lose. We're going to drop a ball, a fumble a ball, a muff a punt, and lose a football game.
Absolutely.
Well, this is an insurance policy. On top of adding a weapon to the offense, who I think, like I said, he's faster than Isaiah McKenzie. And I agree with you. He's better than Isaiah McKenzie at the receiver spot. Isaiah had great flashes, but they were just that. It was flashes. You can't have a guy in your number 4 spot that disappears for 8 to 9 weeks at a time, because that's exactly what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, that with these guys, I mean, there's so much you can do with them. Bills fans have been talking about screens for years, right?
Yeah.
You got James Cook, you could throw a screen to. You got these two gentlemen, you could throw a screen to. And let's throw Diggs into it. You could throw some the Diggs as well. This literally has changed the element of this whole offense.
Sherfield. Sherfield is a guy that adds major special teams value. He played 43% of special team snaps last year in Miami. It's the guy, like you said, probably replaces Jake Kumerow as your either number 5 receiver, possibly 6 if they choose to carry 6. But
I think they will. I mean, and not to cut you off, JT.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that too. like, if we just look at the numbers, I think they're going to have because you got to realize that 4th running back, Tywan Jones, won't be there, right? So you're going to dress, Damian Harris, you're going to dress Hines, you're going to dress Cook, right? You're going to dress, now you can comfortably dress 6 receivers.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, like I said, when you look at Sherfield, it's a guy, he's coming off a career year in Miami. 417 yards, he had 2 touchdowns, 30 receptions on 51 targets. But for me, the biggest thing was the 43% special team snaps that he took. Yep. We go back to speed. Jake Kumerow at the stage of his career, Buffalo last year, was probably running about 4.6, 4.65 40 time at this point in time in his career. Yeah. You're trading that off for a guy who runs a 4.45.
Yep.
Isaiah McKenzie was a 4.42. You're trading off for a guy who runs like a 4.35. Those are huge differences. And you said it before. Both of these guys have better boogie, more wiggle. They're more elusive players. When you look at what the Kansas City Chiefs have done over the years, you talk about guys like Sky Moore, like guys McCole Hartman, Tyreek Hill the past year. I mean, Tyreek Hill's an amoeba. I don't want to put him in that category. But guys like Jerick McKinnon, those other guys who can make plays when they have the ball.
Yeah.
So, a few times they have the ball.
So let's be real here.
Yeah.
When in the last 2 seasons, when have we seen somebody in the open field? They got the ball in the open field, and it was outside of single carry, and they just make somebody miss.
We haven't had it. We haven't had it. We haven't had it since LaShawn McCoy.
That's been
And
a
actually,
problem
to
in
the
the
truth,
offense.
we haven't had it since Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott got here.
I think they know that.
Yeah, and they're making the right changes. So, like I said, once again, personally, I love both of these signings, and I'm not trying to be a homer and be like I love every signing. Okay, we'll talk about the Conor McGovern on another segment, but at the end of the day, I think that these cover up some of the holes that this offense had, and they're under the radar. They're not expensive signings, but you've said this multiple times as well, and I 110% agree with it. Your star players will get you to the dance. Your core players will win you the dance.
If these dudes make big plays here and there, it's damn near impossible to beat this team.
Yeah.
If you got these, because you know what Dave's going to do. You know what Davis is going to do. Bills fans are rather harsh on him, but that's another story.
Right.
What we'll get into also is nobody talks about how Dawson Knox got to step up. For whatever reason, he gets the pass. We need to start talking about how he needs to step up more with a $50+ million contract.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be another set we could talk about that. But overall, I give these signings a B as overall grade, just because, like I said, are these world beater signings? No. Are we saying these guys are going to be
solid core signings?
Yeah. Are they going to be 1,000-yard receivers? No, I'm not saying that. But I will say this: both of these guys, I believe, can take advantage of mismatches if they're presented to them on the field. And the last couple of years, I couldn't say it. The Bills have ranked in the bottom 4 of yak yardage from the receiver position since Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane got here. Signings like this, I think, will end up helping that.
Yep, I agree.
And if they can do that, it's bigger plays, it's more touchdowns. That's hopefully more wins for the Buffalo Bills. So, other than that, Trent Sherfield, Deonte Harty, welcome to Buffalo.